You are welcome on Blackwood Fire Network. You're welcome in this new session, in this new episode of our show today. I think we were here late, earlier on in the morning, but we are back for those that are getting us from Facebook, Fire Network Radio, Twitter, Blackwood Fire Neo One, and of course, YouTube Blackwood Fire Network. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting, and thank you for supporting and watching Blackwood Fire Network. It's me, Innosetu with
Camera.
yeah, Kampala, Uganda.
Okay. Go ahead, but introduction.
Tewali intro jenze janina. Tulinda abantu tukola budde bwaffe kuva wano. Tukola kuva wano.
Right. I guess Innossetu has welcomed you guys from that. I guess it's morning and yeah. So some other people are waking up, heading to work and stuff, but we're here. So for us, it's of course 8 minutes past 7 p.m. and today is the 7th of December 2023. It's night, of course, a little bit dark already. But let's just dive right into our topic that says Africa's education system is foreign, and it is foreign because it was introduced to us by the foreigners, like they are. One of the area colonialism affected in Africa was education and language. Two scholars on colonial education, that's Gail P. Kelly and Philip G. Alibach, help define the colonialism process as an attempt to assist in the colonization of foreign rule. Most people always look at this foreign education system and think it was drafted to help. As we are attending school and colleges, high schools, universities, they always tell us that this education system was brought to help the Africans. This education system actually wasn't brought to help the Africans. This education system was brought to simplify things for the colonial masters. First of all, we needed to learn their language. So they needed to teach us their language so that they can ease communication. So that we can understand because if at all it wasn't to help them, they would have learned our languages instead of forcing us to learn their language. And if you look at the languages in all the African languages that are called official languages, those are the languages that I should say are for educated people. They are languages of the colonial masters. That's why every country in Africa, their official language is the language of their colonial master. That's why there are those who speak the English. Those are the people who are colonized by the English. We have those who speak French. Those are people who are colonized by the French people. So and so on and so forth. So apparently, um, those languages, the education system in many African countries, of course, have historical roots in colonial influence, resulting in a framework that can be considered foreign in several aspects. This influence have shaped the structure, curriculum, and the language of instruction across the continent. Colonial powers during their rule often imposed the educational systems that served their interests. You understand? They imposed education systems that served their interests. And this legacy has left a mark on the curriculum, with a focus on European languages, history, and literature. We studied Shakespeare. We studied apparently most of their literature. It is just that we started, of course, doing Chinua Achebe. Chinua Achebe was so prominent. He's a Nigerian author. Chinua Achebe was so prominent in East Africa. For us who did literature, we studied him, but apparently most of the students preferred Shakespeare because he was all about love stories and stuff. So, of course, you see that all our things were shaped, our curriculum was shaped. We use the colonial masters' language, we study their history and their literature, sometimes at the expense of indigenous knowledge and languages. So, one thing is for sure that Africans can never be like Europeans. And what favors the Europeans cannot favor Africans. But everything we study here is a system that favors the Europeans. And that's why even our own education system has actually failed. Because we are studying for things that we cannot provide. Somebody does literature, you are studying how to paint. Oh, yeah, how many people are going to buy your paintings? You understand? You said apart from maybe capturing stuff and selling to tourists, or something like that. Even you see those who do handwork, they sell their handwork to tourists. There is no speedy available market. So we study things that are not designed for us. But because the system that was introduced to us, the curriculum that we follow, the language that we follow, the literature, the creativity is at the expense of the indigenous knowledge and languages. That's why even when you go in schools, you find they are teaching in English. And you find children know English more than their own indigenous languages. Because what to do? This is now the means of communication. Even if you wake up and say my child will not speak English, again you are doing a disservice, because at the end of the day, your child is going out there in the world and is going to meet that you hate so much. So this is how we are. So the use of foreign language are predominantly those of former colonial powers are the medium of instructions, can create barriers for students. This linguistic gap can contribute to educational inequalities, as those fluent in the colonial language may have an advantage over others. Basically, it is very appalling that um, most people always focus on the level of knowledge you have towards the English. That's why when we are studying, first of all, they will say good English command. Is that really important? How about if you can speak your Luganda? Don't I stand a chance to be a public relations? Don't I stand a chance to be a good journalist? You ought to speak good English. That is one command. That is, and when they're talking about language, definitely that is it. So you cannot say I'm speaking my Luganda. Am I not coming through? I'm speaking my Rutoro. Am I not coming through? The fluence, the language they are focusing on is the English language. And in most of the things, that is the number one requirement. If at all you're going for jobs. So, but it is not a must. Why should we uplift English, than our own languages, than our own indigenous languages that actually define us? Because not everyone can explain themselves in English. You see? But of course, those are the criteria at which most of the people give out jobs. So colonial languages are having advantages over indigenous languages. Now, the curriculum itself may not always align with the local context. and the needs of African societies. This is exactly what I was saying. The curriculum, if you look at, I remember I don't know if you did this in your school, but when we were like in P2, we used to mold. Check it out. We
We
go
used
in
to,
the mud. You used to do that too.
mm.
You go in the mud, you mold.
Mm.
How were they calling that?
We even do crafting.
You do crafting. Some
Mm.
people want they can
Mm.
weave baskets.
Mm.
Stuff me. I wasn't into weaving baskets and shit like that.
Mm.
But I loved to mold. I loved to create
Mm.
things, from clay and stuff. So
Mm.
that was my
Yeah,
specialty
we
as
used to
a
do that.
kid, as I was growing up. Now that is African curriculum. You understand? And they will teach you a lot about your culture, how to make your local hair, and also about to because that is what Africa is about. You will see a Muigo Kwambala Gomez, but when you go to high school, first thing they are going to teach you is to know how to tie a tie.
Of course.
I'm a woman, but I know how to tie a tie in all spheres, whether it ties on somebody's head, whether it's on a neck, whether it's not. I tie a tie because we were taught, but I don't know how to tie my traditional wear. And usually it's my mom who makes me put on that thing. And when she's not around at times, I'm like, how am I going to put on this? I cannot put on this, but I know how to put on the Western cultural clothes. I'll call them cultural because it was important. It is in the curriculum. It is on the curriculum. You have to learn how to dress up as a European. That's why I can tie the tie. That's why I know what you should put on first and what comes last, because we were taught this in school. But I don't know how to wear my tradition. I'm sorry. It's a shame. But this is it. I don't know how to do it. Sasa nakungamansi Gomez. Sasa kungamansi ekigundi kya Gomez. Me, I can do it, but I cannot do it, professionally, like I see my mom doing it.
Yeah.
But why? Yet these are the basics. This in fact is otayi kigandibadde babisomera ku university kati ngomanyi kyogenda obeera watanga ngenda beera mukyala mufu. So those are the things that we have neglected a lot. Why should we be studying how to put on? Why should we be studying how to tie a tie and not how to tie that traditional robe? Why? Because of this education system. The curriculum is not always aligned with the local context and the needs of the African society. It prioritizes foreign perspectives and historical events, neglecting the rich culture heritage and diverse experience of African communities. If you look at we started about the Canadian prairies. Did you study about that? What the hell with Canadian prairies right about now? Why did we study that? Until now, I keep on asking that. Why did we study about the Canadian prairies? Why did we study about that?
Forestry in Netherlands.
Forestry. How is that even important? Like, don't we have forest here? Why? Why is it important for me to study that?
Mining in China.
Why this? I mean, at times when I was in school, I didn't really know.
Fishing in Iraq.
We then started about Mississippi, how Mississippi through that fog, how it is they have accidents when the fog is too huge. And I was shit, what the fuck with Mississippi? How is Mississippi important to me? But of course, we had to study all that because of this kind of system. So Mississippi they made sure that they blindfold us so that so that we shouldn't know. Somebody's talking about where is Lake Victoria. Somebody doesn't know. Somebody knows about different, lakes in the US. Somebody can name all the lakes in the UK. Somebody can name you all the mountains in they can name you everything outside Africa. When they even don't know the lake behind their house. Now, to keep people doing stupid things that are not beneficial. But of course, this is the kind of system we are prioritizing foreign perspectives and historical events. You study the chain throughout. Ani yasoka who was the first, then Queen Elizabeth, who was coming for, why did why was Queen Elizabeth chosen, who was the grandfather, who was the staff, story, she'd read about Williams and Charles. Now we're having that. You don't know who your king was, who their grandfathers were. You even don't know who your chief is. You don't know how they came into power. If you're teaching about our history, you'll just have a little touch about it. And then maybe tell you a little bit story and bus. They are done. And then this is because we are prioritizing the less important things. The structure of education may mirror foreign models, potentially limiting flexibility and responsiveness to local needs. This can lead to mismatch between educational outcomes and the requirements of the job market or community development. This is why I said we are having a lot of people floating. Check it out. Because what we are studying is not the demand, is not on the market, is not on demand. Nobody's demanding you are going to school to pay school fees or you go kutunga Gomez. Check it out. Bane abatagenze ku ssomero bali mu zitunga. You are going to school, you are going to graduate. Kubanga singa ngamba we have big companies is employing abatunzi be Gomez. Go and get a diploma. Go and get a diploma. Get managing a company. But there is no company. People are going, they even don't know how to read their name. So for you're going to school again, MCA to study shit. You are going to study catering. You are going to you're not going to study local food, but no one's going to eat your foreign dishes. You're cooking French fish. Who's going to eat French fish in Uganda? And who's going to employ you at Sheraton? And a French visitor will come twice in a year. At the end of the day, they want to eat local food. Someone wants matoke. You are studying catering, you are studying the French, bon appetit. The spoons are sitting the other side. Put here the spoon and the fork. The next time, those visitors are coming thrice in a year. The majority of the people you are having in your restaurants are local people. You don't know how to make it. You want, or you are cook your steak, leave some blood. There is a way they eat their steak. You are cooking that steak for who? You serve it to a Ugandan man, he says, I'm going. Which kind of restaurant is this? So the education system and the things that we are studying, I don't know. Forgetting that the demand in Africa, the biggest demand is the Africans demanding. So we study things that are very foreign. When we look at the curriculum of most of the things, first of all, they do not favor. Altogether. If at all Africans had the right to change a little bit and make sure that the education system they are giving to their people is suiting the demand. This is why we are having a lot of people on our streets floating. Because we are studying wrong things that are not on demand. And nobody wants to hear about them. And everyone is doing apparently that. But simply because this is what they want us to study, we end up doing that. So someone there are things that people usually look at, and someone will be like, chakabi, omwana wangasomie. The most important thing omwana wangasomie afunyechi. Me, I've seen people who have studied catering and their food doesn't taste good. They have gone to do hotel management and catering, and they don't know how to cook food. Me, I was like, do French people enjoy this food? What kind of food is this? You have to marinate. They don't know how to season. You are cooking the white system. You're cooking for who? I'm an African person. Don't bring that Muzungu dish for me because you have a diploma. I have a bachelor's in cooking. You can't that bachelor cannot work here unless the Muzungu is coming once in a while. It doesn't. You don't know how to season food because definitely they are not doing that. So every time, there is what they call continental food and whatever. They're always, but most of the things that we are studying, and the funniest thing, these people, for you to be your document to be sanctified or the school to be recognized at an international level, there are units that you have to take. You don't select. They will tell you we want you to scrap away political science. We don't want that. If you do it, they're not going to sanctify. And that's how they dictate everything until now. So the structure, the models, They are mismatching between the educational outcomes and the requirements of the job market or the community development. Okay, yogera muko nange ntandikira onsooke mmaleyo. Okay.
So we know very well that the education, actually, not only in, in Uganda, let it be Kenya, let it be Burkina Faso, where these countries we are experiencing, and actually that is a global, not a global, but an African, one of the problems that we have in Africa. Leave alone the hunger they talk about, the wars they have in Africa, but the education system. We know very well that colonial masters imposed their own education system and languages on the local population. Together. So everybody had to learn the language of colonizers, which was actually associated with modernity, sophistication, and social status, which are foreign. In almost all colonies of the languages were colonial. The language, all colonial masters. All colonies where these people were the colonial masters. There are foreign languages there amidst the very many languages that we have in Africa. So for this reason, education system needed to produce people who knew the language well. That foreign language. The education system has to produce that type of people. So in many cases, people received their education system in metropolitan states, which offered, of course, better education facilities and more exposure to languages and cultures of colonial people or colonial masters. Which again, we know that colonial education fueled by actually widely behalf fueled that the belief of superiority among colonial masters, and the Africans to be uncivilized. It brought uncivilization among African minds, that it made the whites to be at the forefront. So white supremacy manifests in the socio-economic and the political and the culture history of European expansion. We see that all former colonies of these people widely take whites to be trustworthy, to be intelligent, to be supreme, to be. There is a way people look at whites and they
associate them with the super.
With that superiority. I think Africans they are inferior. That, that
Hello. Hello, GB Yaba. So yeah, it's true. I do agree with you on that. I do agree with you because, like I always tell you, we may be, people may be talking about something or the same thing, but when a Mzungu speaks about the same thing that other black people have been speaking about, black people rather believe in the Mzungu than their own. They rather trust the Mzungu's words than their own. So I do agree with you. So we have that stereotype. Shannon, yeah? You were there? Yeah.
So even actually this foreign education system that we have in Africa, it favors Western cultures only. Together. So we see that when you go in schools, you learn foreign things. Like you have been talking about here, learning in African countries how to do lumbering in Neverland.
Yeah.
You learn about Mississippi. You learn
Yeah,
about
we learned about Mississippi, how they are fighting the fog, how the fog usually causes them to have issues. Correct, their cooking hasn't any flavor because they have only salt. True. True. You learn about Mississippi and stuff,
Mm.
and like, am I going to work on Mississippi? Am
Mm.
I the how, stuff? So we are learning about things that are not important. Let's learn about the source of River Nile. What is going on at the River Nile? We don't. Only that we learn about is the longest river,
Mm.
stuff like that. We are not learning about what is going on. We
Mm.
don't learn about the problems that our economy is facing. We don't learn about things that we are facing as a country or
Mm.
as a continent at large. But we learn about things in places that we may die even without reaching.
Mm.
So how important is that to me? How important is Mississippi to Africa?
Mm.
Okay, I'm here to understand
Mm.
how important are the Canadian prairies?
Mm.
How important is lumbering in those forests?
Mm.
Like, don't we have forests here already?
Mm.
So why should you teach me how to cook French food?
Mm.
How many French customers do we have in Uganda after all? So people go ahead and float on the streets because
Mm.
we study the wrong things.
Mm.
The next time in a hotel, they're going to choose an old experienced man who has even not graduated. He doesn't even have bachelor's. He doesn't even have any certificate whatsoever. But this man is experienced in cooking the meals that customers want. So
Mm.
you end up with your documents.
Mm. Mm.
You run from one hotel to another
Mm.
because the first thing they're gonna ask you, what do you know how to cook? You're talking shit.
Mm.
The thing you will know how to cook. Most of the chefs in the hotels in Africa are traditional chefs.
Mm.
These are people who don't even hold any certificate whatsoever.
Mm.
They just have that experience.
Mm.
They have the African touch in their meals.
Mm.
So
Mm.
because at the end of the day, it is the African people you're feeding.
Mm.
But in schools, they're not going to teach you how to cook a chinyewa.
Mm.
You're not going to learn how to cook traditional meals.
Mm.
So, like I said, everything is just not for us. But anyway, that is it.
So we see that this foreign education system, because of course it started during colonial time, we see that this education system, which is foreign, gave birth to easy spread of religions in Africa. Together,
True.
these people, it became easy for them to spread religions, Christianity and other religions that we have in Africa that are becoming a problem that is preaching about this unity in African countries because of the education system. And and by the way, that's why I always say that it's really very hard now to do away with religions in Africa because of the education system. The strongest schools we have in Africa, the strongest universities we have in Africa, these are religious based universities. Even in the media houses, you know this. These are religious based organizations. Which together. So these people keep on controlling the internal affairs of a country by the education system. Okitegeera?
Sure.
Because of course you have to use English ekisooka kimala. Okitegeera? Ndaba olina ky'ogamba.
So, if I may comment here, GB Jabba.
Mm.
In the US, the test for a cooking job is, can you make a perfect omelette? All right. People would do that. Tagala omelette. Gee. Gee, movie going. So of course, this education system focuses on the standardized
Similar
testing.
in Uganda.
Anything similar. We are homeless. We make omelets here. Here I think we have a different you know uh hotels, restaurants, events. So at times we have those 5-star. I think most of the things they usually ask for, like now that you have Chinese, it's also becoming one of the requirement. You have to know how to do Chinese
Forward,
meal
yeah.
forward. Two, you have to know how to do some foreign dishes, and then traditional dishes. But now the issue that we have, these clients are not huge on a larger demand. So that's why you will find that one chef is enough. One chef who has that skill is enough. because they're not going to have a big demand that they need 4 to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 chefs. But again, we are having thousands of people who are graduating in that. That is the challenge. So I think hotels decide on what. Some of them usually concentrate on fish, fried fish. How can you do that fish? At times, and chicken wings. I think I see people um, I'm a food. So like I said, this education system focuses on standardized testing, a feature often borrowed from foreign system. Now, this standardized setting tends to stifle creative and critical thinking, that students are frequently assessed based on memorization rather than their ability to analyze, synthesize information, and think independently. Usually, I see people on Facebook trying to show the difference between African education system and other systems. They will show you a young African boy having a Bible, and they will show you a Muzungu child dealing in technology. He's very young, he's trying to make a car, trying to make a phone and stuff. I believe that we have a lot of smart young Africans. Of course, we've seen a lot of young Africans trying to innovate technology wise, to create things on their own. We've seen young people trying to create things that are very amazing, even with no resources. You can say that if at all the Africa had invested in this, we would be hitting or skyrocketing to the top. But we are not in this. And then somebody wakes up and then they'll be demanding African children, insulting African children, blah blah. But the education system does not give us the practical part. Unless the only time you're going to get practical part, that is when you have entered high school and probably you're doing some chemistry testing and just a little bit of it, just to test chemicals and how they're going to react, how to bisect something, and how to you don't go into the details, because this is just a pass through. It is like a memorized test, like they say. You don't learn something, you just have to memorize that. If I mix this on a litmus paper and it gives me green, definitely. So if I bisect this like this, if I look at this seed and it has this, definitely. You just have to cram. You don't study and understand why the chemical reactions are reacting that way. You don't study and understand why the litmus paper is turning this color. You don't study and understand. You just have to cram, because you don't have to learn. And the next time they want you to learn, definitely, is when you decide that now I'm going to be a chemist. Now that's when you start the things that you should have begun studying
Sometime back.
8 years ago. They are all going to be compiled on you within 4 years. And all these within that shortest time. So we are studying things that are teaching us to memorize rather than understanding. The technique of assessment is a memorized assessment. So we are not we are not allowed to think critically, because a critical thinker, I think, is the best learner. In the US, test standardized has made children dumber. They study for the test and not for knowledge.
Yeah.
School funding is based on test scores in some cases.
Yeah.
True. True.
Even Africa, actually,
Just
that's
like you
why
are saying in Uganda.
in Uganda we see like
Tukyalina ku kitundu kya ssaawa kiki kino
tugende mpola.
oliro tugende tugendeza.
we see that in very many African schools, um, even schools cheat for students to pass. You see, like the school may be having over 200 students, but all these people passing in first grades, or having better grades, all of them passing in better grades. You don't see failures or what, and the schools that are known for that in Africa, just because education is not for understanding, or but it is for passing. We see very many kids from that level, that primary level.
Mm.
When they go to high school, these are kids that can't make it,
Mm.
yet they pass very well when they're down.
Mm.
When they can't
True.
make it when they're
True.
up,
Mm.
kitegeera
Mm.
tekyebagamba, just as it is in Uganda.
True, 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 Jibijaba. That is
Mm,
and then the another issue we have, there is unequal distribution of equal educational resources. You know, wealthier communities often have better access to quality education, while marginalized regions face underfunding and inadequate facilities, exacerbating social and economical inequalities. Like we are saying, Tino, it is very hard
mm,
to find a child who has graduated streets.
mm,
First of all, that first of all, the ability that took him or her to that international school will keep him a job.
mm,
What you get that?
mm,
Compared to other people, of course, giving us examinations, we set the same equation for both those ones who have been to the best schools and those who have been to the local schools.
There's an
The
examination.
same testing, the same examination, everything you do the same.
Mm,
So it is either and when you find the local children go winning manyanti kituufu babikoze ekyokubiri n'abali mu bugundi baba.
mm,
So a lot of imbalance within the education system.
mm,
There's a this education system that it is exacerbating economic inequalities. We also know that there is the perpetuation of foreign ideologies, which usually undermine the local values.
mm,
The emphasis on individual achievement over manual well-being, which is sometimes embedded in foreign education models, they can erode the sense of community and cooperation in African society. So apparently, your child goes to school and they come back, they cannot even kneel down to greet you
mm,
because in school, I mean, we are so westernized, we cannot be kneeling down, ma'am. The next time you're talking to your child is talking back to you. Because in school, they have studied that as a child, you have the freedom and the right to do as you wish. So nobody should force you to kneel down. So the education itself is controversial, it is contradicting with the African. If at all this education was matching with the African system, we wouldn't be talking about it now as a negativity. But in every sphere, it is contradicting. That's why at times you find even some men who say, I don't want an educated woman. I don't want stress. You understand? I don't want to marry an educated woman. I don't want to have stress. Because there is a way education molds someone. There is a way education molds someone. And also it depends on the kind of school. You see? So someone may have studied in a it's native. And someone may have studied in a school which is, so much of westernized that the major things that you would look at that someone should be focusing on, these people neglect a lot. Some in my state, school funding comes from property, taxes. Rich areas have better schools. Yes, 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 GB Jabba. Apparently, a lot of people are traveling to look for good schools. You find a child is living like 100 kilometers to go somewhere, to go in boarding school or to find hostels, and they attain the education system in particular areas because where they come from, the education system is not
good.
good. So we are having that big difference. It even goes straight to the economy. It- So are funded by missionaries. Some schools are funded by Europeans, and the schools that are funded by European, there's too much of Western culture in there. that you find, despite of them trying to exercise the African culture in them, but even when you're in that place, you realize that there is too much of the Western contribution. Mm.
I know about one school I know.
Mm.
It is a born again based school, but students don't go out for
Mm.
holidays. They stay there for good. If you're a parent, you just come and visit your kid. They stay there for good.
Mm.
These are kids, these are students that have learned totally Western cultures, Western economic system,
Mm.
Western social way of social system.
Mm.
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 So we see that this education system that we have in Africa that is foreign based,
Mm.
it is actually based on someone seeking for a job after studying,
Mm.
which take like white collar jobs.
Mm.
So after studying, you have had your education for all those years. And by the way, the education period duration in African countries, it is a
Mm.
bit longer
Mm. Mm.
compared
Mm.
to the Bazungus.
Mm.
But this is education system that started during colonial period.
Mm.
So you see that you have spent very many years in school doing nothing, and after out of school you go start looking for jobs on the streets. You start doing things that you wouldn't have liked to do. um
Mm.
in Africa, what we need in Africa are the skills:
Mm.
ironsmithing,
Mm.
carpentry. We need skills, we need skilled jobs, what we need. But we end up learning a lot of theories that are irrelevant in our societies.
Mm.
There is no school you're going to see. I used to see my brother
Mm.
when he was at the university.
Oh.
He learned. He was at the university. He was learning about. He was getting his bachelor's degree in civil engineering. This is a guy that did internship to someone who did a diploma in an institute, someone who has never done even a level. Or check it out.
Mm.
Someone who has not studied too much to that level of university. This is
Mm.
where the guy got internship from.
Mm.
The guy was skilled and had never gone to any school. He just within from institute, within he upgraded slowly. Within he had his skill. The guy he was even about to get his degree, his bachelor's. But the guy didn't know about I didn't know the guy didn't know about a lot of skills, a lot of skills in the civil engineering, but was helped by someone who has been into the system and has never gone to any school to learn about the theories of what my brother knew.
Mm.
My brother knew a lot of theories,
But not practical.
but not practical when he cannot do practical. So what does that mean? The
Mm.
Western education system is based on theories. I don't know whether in African countries
Mm.
or even outside African countries. I can be helped if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm. The job will help you.
Yeah, but it is based on theories.
Done.
Yeah. Sigera gikoona mugwamanyi bwegambire mukama umaze emyaka mingi nga mukwatagana. Mm.
You guys are. Obalaba kyekyomugaso kati yagala olutebe lwe.
So Ibijaba can help me out on this. Okay, is the education system there? Is it based major on theories or practice? Someone getting a skill and someone learning. Is it based too much on theories? Because very many African scholars they know theories.
Mm.
They know theories more than practical part of it.
And
That's
then,
why even when it comes to seeking jobs or looking for jobs, they'll always look for someone who has experience, someone who has a skill. That's some of the people lose jobs, lose to get opportunities for jobs just because they don't have skills, but they have books.
Yeah, books which are filled with
Yeah.
theory sheet content.
Mm.
Keith is asking where we are. We are at my home. We are seated at the balcony. Sorry. Nkugambo.
Mhm. Yabwe tugende.
Ndi obugundu bwange buwedde.
Eh,
Asogenda.
So we don't see in this education system, they don't tell us, there is no way I see in this education system we have in Africans right away from when I was even still in elementary kind of education kind of level. I didn't see where even up to now at the level where I'm now.
Mm.
There is no way, there is no education, there is no level they are going to teach you Africans how we have to unite. It is not taught in schools,
Mm.
Africans uniting. But you will see in very many because you guys internet is really bad. Oh,
Alimba. Alimba naawe.
oh,
Alimba.
kyandiba ekituufu because so
Tugende mu maaso y'omuntu.
ye mbadde ngamba ki?
Mhm.
Hmm? Mbadde ngamba ki?
Simanyi bwe.
Mm, I was saying that the education system, this is what I was saying, that the education system we have in Africa, it doesn't teach us the values of an African. It doesn't teach us that we have resources in Africa. It doesn't teach us the natural things we have in Africa that can benefit Africans. It doesn't teach us our responsibilities as Africans, as we Africans. Okitegeera? It doesn't teach our culture. You know very well, it doesn't teach our culture. Education, in fact, our culture is not in these syllabuses. Okitegeera?
It's true.
They bring it as a concept, as a. In fact, African culture has been drafted into drama. It is taken into drama. There is no serious education, serious teachings about African culture. About African culture, it is brought on in a drama and it's done. And very many people think that African culture is all about drama. Okitegeera? And it's done. They show drama that is African culture and it's done. But African culture is wide, even our languages, it is African culture. Even our values, even our, you see, you see, they don't even teach you Africa to unite with African people because the power don't want that. The powers don't want that. True.
True, true.
Um, it's not an education system, it's a mind control. True. True. So they always want to contrast in that kind of mind so that we keep our minds so. Nemwana abazungu olunaku lumu ngenda kunyiga kuba abazungu bonna buli gwensanga bo nga muteekamu siraapu lando. Level of training, also called education, can only limit your capacity development. It's suppressive system of development created by European system to restrict growth and development. Kino nakyo kituufu.
Mm.
Ask me why. Um,
Why?
I'm not barbaric. I'm not barbaric or primitive or conservative,
Mm.
whatever word it might be. We
Mm.
spend a lot of time in school. You know this.
Mm.
Hmm?
Mm.
And nowadays, very many African parents take their kids to boarding schools.
Mm.
These are kids that trip where they are Africans. These are kids that they don't know how to cultivate. Watch it again. Hey, Tebasobola, you live.
Bakuwadde comment.
Now your values are putting another man. Your so 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 kids now these are our values. Watch it again. You know that kids today they look at farming as being barbaric.
Mm.
No matter why very many African youths they move from villages to towns, and these are the educated ones.
Mm.
We know in Africa that someone who is educated does not dig.
Mm.
Someone who is educated does not do stuffs like skill stuffs.
Mm.
They
You have
always
to be to
sit in
office.
offices, and these are the people that are eating popcorn. Why again? So we can't see development if people are not doing farming. Like agriculture is the backbone of Africa.
Mm.
We are putting all our minds on we are putting all our minds on education system. My kid has to be educated. My kid has to speak English very well, fluent. That is checho. The reality. Okimanyi nti there are certain things bye tubuuzizza amaaso in this era. Eh? Um, Ochimanyi, you can find a kid, you know, like these friends of ours, like Keith, like Jibjaba, most of them they have found out, they have tried to find out where they belong. Ochitegera, they have done different DNA tests to trace their origin.
Mm.
You will find very few Africans trying to trace their origin.
But they're already in Africa. Origin
They are
the
already in
tracing records.
Africa, as in your great grandfathers.
Teri necessary.
Very necessary mukwano.
Katulinganga agamba tetuli kyekimu.
No,
Bamugambe wazaalibwa Zaire.
nedda tuli kyekimu.
Mm.
Kyengezaako okugamba tokitegedde. Tuli
Kyonna.
kyekimu.
Mm.
But what I mean is this.
Mm.
Like, nga wotunuulira kati Abaganda. We don't take in that interest to look jjajjawo yali akola ki. People had responsibilities edda depending on the culture.
Nti kati mpa ekyo.
Nti kyekimu kye ŋŋambako obadde tokitegeerera banyuzi gikuba.
Kikulu.
So this kind of mind um,
Oh, mommy. You know that education often guides individuals their path. Critics argue that this can limit personal choices and, of course, perpetuates societal compensation, setting individuals towards professionals that align with economic and social needs. That's what you're saying. So somebody grows when they know, all right, I want to be this.
mm,
They don't concentrate on other things. They concentrate on that specific thing. They invest in everything, their mind and everything, and they don't allow their mind to think on a broader perspective. They just align themselves within that career that they want to achieve. And at the end of the day, they just go out to their jobs and they're on the streets trying to do other things simply because they did not think about other things. And then we realize that most of the education system does not teach people to employ themselves. There is nothing like self-employment. They don't teach you what to do, how to do things in case things fail. But there are 75% chances that you may not get a job. First of all, we are having old folks in offices, they don't want to let go. So grannies are in power and young people are struggling to make ends meet. And the education system does not teach people to employ themselves, but rather it teaches you to be an employee. And this is the biggest challenge that most Africans are experiencing. Too much of theory, like you said. We are concentrating and putting everything that we have on one thing, or rather than putting it on a variety of opportunities. Why is it wrong for you to teach someone more than seven skills? People know how to do shit. Someone will know how to operate a computer, someone will know how even to farm, someone will know how to make the hair, someone will know how to bake. So there are a lot. If one fails, you go with the other. If the other fails, because the world is competing, the world is a competing world, but Africans are not competing. The Africans are not trained to go out there and grab what to do. And the things that we are learning are things that are not important. Apparently, everybody is learning about oil in Uganda. It is one of the top selling courses. You are going to study oil. How many oil amaziba ga oil tunainga? Course, Uganda. Um, Babija Babija. An African child developed much faster than any other race of kids. To put them in a European timeline will slow and constrict the child development. True, true. The European education system The European education system is a dumbing down system created to control and manipulate black psyches. And they have introduced this down here. So, like I was saying, you realize that the Africans are practical people. They are very practical people. Cramming is not necessary. But of course, you realize that most of the things we study are about cramming. You just don't get, you don't, they don't teach you to understand things. You just have to cram. Yet, things are changing every now and then. You understand? But if you understand something, that means you will know how to go about it, no matter how, no matter why, but you will know how to go about it rather than cramming and try to stuff when it's not really how you're supposed to learn that. So the education system of the African people perspective, education system can also influences it can be influenced by political and social agendas. um, for example, recently they are scrapping political science from the universities. We had the political science, we had the politics. People used to study this, and now it's being scrapped. And I think it's a general order because I've realized that even the Nigerians are saying the same story. They're scrapping away political science in Nigeria. They don't want people to learn. They're scrapping that in Uganda. They're scrapping that in apparently most of the African countries. They don't want people to learn the politics, the science behind politics. They don't, because first of all, now you're going to teach a student, and the next time, even if you don't give them all they need, they're going to make sure they research about this. And I think this they are so afraid that if we keep on teaching these people political science, things may go berserk or they may get out of hand. So batugana zisoma yogerako.
Sinakayogera nkyamwanyi. Nkyamwanyi.
Stop playing it. Stop playing it.
Hmm? Simanyi. I was looking. Mm. Lando says that no one can educate you. The only misguide you and confuse you. Education comes from your culture. It must teach you to solve problems and further trust development and interest to the society. This is true. In Africa, in African education system, what actually these people frame to be informal education, I don't know how they developed that concept of informal and formal.
Mm.
Mm. They had a way of educating a child
Empale
from
kunyiga.
they had a way of educating a child from childhood. If you reach a certain level of growth, they teach you different things straight away.
Mm.
Okitegeera, our uncles, our moms, our mothers, our fathers, there is a way they educated us
Mm.
following up culture. If you look at our fathers, if you look at our grannies, um, they confess this. They were taught a lot because kati webuze how these people, how did our ancestors, how did the iron-smithing run from generations to generations? Backcloth making in Uganda,
Mm.
how did it go to generation from generations to generations? You had to reach a certain stage
Mm.
or age. They teach you that.
Mm.
Okitegeera?
Mm.
They teach you different things, making local beer. You
Mm.
reach a certain age, they teach you to how to make local beer.
Mm.
Okitegeera? These are things that we learned. They teach you to do carpentry at a certain stage. Carpentry has not started today. Painting, they teach you. Okitegeera?
Mm.
This was our education system. This was the education system that did not separate Africans. This was an education system that did not teach Christianity, religions to separate Africans. This was an education system that did not preach about tribalism in Africa.
Mm.
Okitegeera?
Mm.
Because they taught responsibilities.
Nera no malanzi weekend popcorn.
Tubala kubaliza.
Figure sawa.
Tugenda kubala ssaawa 3.
Si wala bajja kuggalawo. Kale mpooka Ivan kajja kundeetera nkasanga wali ku pool. Kali akaana ate nisabisa akolimba. Lwaki oba tonnesiga?
Ate basikwesiga. Tubala kutandika kukola ntandiko.
No, tuddeewo etongo katolika nga gamba embeera togiraba.
Nze sanze. Nga tewawanga excuses ng'ezo. Bwe twatandikiranga okukola. You used to be a serious person.
Twajjagala tutuula buli kintu nekisanga awo. Naye kale tulina okwebeerera.
Africans are born with genius. The culture must further the genius of the child. That is the purpose of education. ng'oyogera awo kale weziwera ssaawa weziwera 2:00 ng'ogenda
sigenda kumala eddakiika ttaano.
naye wamala essaawa tofaayo yogera yogera education in Africa and they taught us how to read and write. But you get before the coming of Bazungus, we used to do paintings, those local paintings. But you
know that the education system now, the education system that we have in many African countries have historical roots in colonial influences, which has resulted to the framework that can be considered foreign in different aspects. Though that we know the colonial, you know that during the colonial rule, like I said, there was a lot of imposing. We used to do things on their favor. First of all, they built schools, not permanent schools. Most of the first schools by the were in Abiasubi. They are building temporarily schools. At times when people would sit under trees and these people would be teaching them their language because they wanted to make it easy for us to communicate with them. They wanted us to make it, and the first time they came with of course they always love to blackmail people a lot. It was very important the Africans they learned their language so that they can change, so that we can translate, so that we understand how we do things, because that was the only way. If at all we hadn't learned their language, it would be very hard for them to stay colonizing us until now. It would be very hard for them to steal our legacy and proclaim that it is theirs. It would be very hard for them to introduce the religion. So it was important that they created that section that of course
That's right, you goofy Negroes. I had to do it. This is your Jesus. Have you goofy Negroes give me something for my birthday? It's almost time for my birthday, you goofy Negroes. Almost Christmas. Have you got on your knees? Have you goofy Negroes got on your knees and pledged your allegiance to me yet? Pledge your allegiance to me. It is I. It is I, Jesus, Negroes. Wait for my presence.
I looked at that guy. They normally show we normally watch in films about Jesus. The guy is growing old. He doesn't look the same like those days.
See, there's something called, it happened in Uganda, of all places. I bet Ugandans don't even know nothing about this. There was a study done in Uganda. The study was done in Uganda. But Lando's saying correct. You are geniuses, but you're taught to be morons. African children are geniuses, but you teach them as morons. Teach them with lies about religion and tell them that the Belgian president was a good man. There was a study done. They did it twice. It was when I think Idi Amin was the president when they first did it. They came back later when he was out of power in the early 80s before Museveni dumbass got there. So it was called you can look this up on Google if they don't hide it. It was called The Magical Child. So what they did, they went to Uganda. They just randomly picked any African nation. They just said Uganda's great. They just said let's pick any African nation and see. So what they did, they picked the African nation, and it was Uganda. And so they wanted to see how do African babies react, without being taught to be morons. So the African child They found out is the smartest. They found that the African child, especially the female, is the smartest baby on the planet. They knew that the African child inside the mother's womb that was not given GMO food, had to have natural organic food. The baby could know its mother's name before it was born. Before it was born. The baby would come out and be able to hold its head up, and within a few weeks, it could speak the mother's and the father's name. And you can go look this up. It's called the magical child. Say the magical child study. Then they didn't believe it was so fascinating how fast the African mind worked. That the white people didn't want to believe it, so they came back years later and did it again. It said and found that the Africans are natural geniuses, but you're taught to be morons. You are natural. You gotta be taught to be a moron because you're a genius when you're born. So you got a regression. You got a regression through your educational system because you're born a genius. Now, if you guys don't know, they just killed. I was going to share this story, but I knew they were going to kill his ass. You had another young Zimbabwean. I told you energy is free. If you don't know how to tap into the ether, you can build energy. There was a young Zimbabwean man. They've already killed his ass. He's on TikTok showing his invention. They've already murdered him. They've already killed his ass. The young guy, he's naive, being naive and stupid. He showed his machine. This brilliant machine he made showed his machine how it would take free energy out of the atmosphere and conduct it into energy in your house and everywhere else. It didn't use any external power. It just got it from the ether, right? So he showed how one contraption could you could have like 4 of it and it would power a whole city forever for free. They asked him, and the white people, being a goofy Negro, the white people came, how did you do this? How does this work? How did you do this? He said, well, I dreamt about it because as Africans, you're connected dimensionally to the real God. He said, then somebody just started speaking to me, downloading this information in my brain. That's what he said. I'm gonna share that video with Maria and them. I thought it WhatsApp app. Then come to find out, because I heard about it like a month ago. I know about free energy. I just don't know how to make it myself. I know how to kind of make it, but I know how to generate free energy. And the Africans always knew how to do this. There's just technology coming back on. So the young boy from Zimbabwe did it. He said, "Why, this is amazing. This helps humanity." And I just seen the video yesterday. They already killed his ass. They poisoned him. I knew that. So they coming for you, boy. Your naiveness to understand who white people are. They're gonna come and they're gonna get your ass. And I went back to the new TikTok video last night. He's already dead. They poisoned his ass.
Sorry.
I was like, God damn. I'm gonna send that video to Maria on the day. The invention was free energy. I mean, with a power, all can power, right? No energy fit. Nobody sitting in the dark no more, and it would have been free, clean energy. No more electric bills. That hurts the white man. That hurts his money, so he's gonna come kill you. So you're born geniuses if you're not going through their indoctrination system of lies called their school system that teaches you to be less than who you are as an African. Free energy system. I should have put it on the WhatsApp app group chat too. I should have did that too. I'm sure I still got it. I can find it. I don't think I saved the original, but I got the one where they already killed him. I was like, God damn. I said, he's been poisoned already. I said, I knew it. He was sitting with them white people. They congratulate. This is good for humanity. I said, these white people won't kill your stupid ass. You got no clue. You know what this means? This is $1 billion trillion ideal that you showed it works. They're gonna come and get rid of you, son. They're gonna get rid of you. Your naivety is gonna kill you. You're brilliant, because this changes the whole world. African countries got that overnight. They go from being poor to being wealthy. No one has to pay for power ever again. It's free, clean. The thing was so impressive. I knew. I said, man, they gonna kill you. Just like the young boy from Zimbabwe. I remember 2 years ago, the young boy from Zimbabwe again had made a TV that didn't need to be plugged in. It was free energy again with his TV. I said, oh man, it's going. Eventually, this kid's gonna learn how to make free energy too. He just knows how to do it with the TV, with the flat screen. I said, he's a danger to white power. They gonna come for him. And what we find out? 2 months later, they killed his ass. This young boy. He put it on YouTube. I said, oh boy, don't put this on no YouTube. Start teaching the people in your community how to do this. Teach the children, so if they kill you, the knowledge is still there. They're gonna come. They're gonna kill you because you're naive. You're docile as an African. You know how the world works. You're docile. Before you tell anybody how to do something, you make sure. When you tell anybody how to do something, you make sure you teach the babies how to do it, because they're gonna kill you. You make sure you pass that information on to like 20 kids in your village. Come here, let me show you how to do this now. Learn this now. Learn it. Learn it. Before you before you release it, learn it. Should nobody be sitting in no dark in 2023 no damn Uganda ever. That boy had already developed. I was like, man, this is amazing. I was like, this is amazing, man. Good grief. I mean, it wasn't no low budget shit. It was intricate. I said, wow, look what this boy did. This is amazing. I said, uh-oh. They're coming to see you. People that run the world are coming to see you, boy. They're coming to see you. People that run the world are coming to see you. They're coming to see you. It ain't going to be good. It ain't going to be pretty. And yesterday I seen a video. They already killed his ass. Like, God damn. They'd already murdered him.
Oh, sorry.
It broke my heart. It broke my heart. I'm not gonna lie. That shit broke my heart. I'm not going to lie. See, I got it right here. I got it on this one.
Zimbabwe.
Sorry.
Look at that one.
So sad.
Oh man, I can't find it. I don't think I got it on this one. Damn.
And whoever finds a solution. We even have some doctors who discovered HIV medicine and they were killed.
Yeah, that's been found. Yeah, that HIV is. See, HIV ain't even what you think it is. Has nothing to do with no sex and all that shit you've been told a lie. Dang, I can't find it. Shit, man. But you guys go, MC.
Find the road they were.
I don't know if I got it on the other channel. Let's put that on this one. Well, I should have shared that thing. Man, I thought I'd saved that thing. Man, this sucks. I don't got it. Shit. Damn. Hopefully, I come back in my feed again. But let me stop You guys do your thing. All right, guys. I'll let you guys go and finish. I'm done. I think you guys got yourself on mute.
So it's hard. Religion, one more comment here, land.
Forgot
Religion,
and can remember the green monkey see me.
mm, we can end it in
So does it play the chicken set?
hashtag if you word.
Commenting a quite through.
Religion through tribalism
Naya mutings.
and separation through demarcation, equal confusion leads to backward thinking. The African mind was projected to believe fairy tale for our existence. Hi Lando, have a good day. Jim Jabba says, that's a great comment from Lando. True. I agree with the Lando's comment for sure. We believe in fairy tales. Check it out. Story about fairies. And we are seeing Jeremy Mosquito ngayingiraho. Ana zikyali kwa biri mu musanvu tezivaako. Jeremy Mosquito, okay, you're welcome. What's up, GB Jabba? I will not be reading those stories, Chan. But I do agree because all this system um, intermingle education, religion, tribalism, demarcation, all the things lead to one thing that is control. All the thing leads back to one thing that is colonization or the colonial rule and control. So all the things were introduced to us, despite of the fact that when we are studying in school, we praise those who taught us. Okay, because you cannot say the British introduced education system. You mean to say we did not have education back in Africa? We do not have education back in Africa. We did have education. We did have our own education. We taught our people in our own understanding, our own culture and traditions, and it has been working for centuries until we neglected the important education system to embrace something that is foreign, that at the end of it all, we are even not benefiting from it. Um, so the challenge of this foreign education is rather hitting us so tremendously, and to the point that we are neglecting what really defines us. We are neglecting what defines us as Black people, and that is our own education system. We need to know who we are. We need to learn what we stand for. We need to learn what defines us, and we are not learning this because this is not in schools. For those who are just coming in, we were trying to look at stuff like the things we studied in high school, and now they are not even important. I was telling you guys that in my high school, we studied about Mississippi. Like everybody knows apparently about Mississippi. Everybody knows about
Before we go far, apparently at
at
university, apparently at university, there are certain courses that recently were announced that they expired. I didn't know that courses expire, but they were like, was it was it which Oxford University?
which one?
Where when they said that the course has expired. Except that the education can only be introduced through a culture. No one can educate you. The only train you to control us. Yeah, 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 yeah. Lando. Mm. Lando, this is true. Eh?
Kwanza ubadde oligayo olowooza nno tenziweddemu.
Tuweddewo. Twali tulina ebinusu lulimu gundi twali um recently at university they were saying that certain courses have expired. The University of Oxford has clarified this course is no longer accepted. These are African countries. I don't know why where the relationship is between African countries and the University of Oxford. Hmm. I don't know where the relationship is between African countries and Oxford University, because of course they say uh, courses have expired. These courses have expired in Africa. It is illegal to learn these courses. When even at the moment students were learning these courses, but they were saying the courses have expired. But these are even the courses that look at someone looking for a job. These are courses. Education, like Lando said, education would have not been an instrument for looking for jobs, because culture made it all. In culture, we learn almost everything. In culture, we learn how to cultivate our land, to do agriculture. Of course, agriculture being the backbone of Africa, we learn in culture. In culture, we learn to do agriculture. In culture, we learn our languages very well and fluently. In culture, we learn values and discipline for ourselves. In culture, we learn to do skill work. We need to do skill work like backcloth making, carpentry, iron-smithing. All these things are taught in culture. But you find out that you find out the student is spending most of the time in school. These are students that are going back to the society and are not giving back to the society. They are learning to sit in offices. They are learning different things that are not even compared to our societies. That is the same thing I was talking about when we are starting this show. Like in school, there is no school that is going to teach you for Africans to unite as we Africans. They will tell you the importance of the Bazungus. They will tell you a lot of history about the Bazungus. They will tell you different geographical areas among the Bazungus. We have been talking about the Mississippi. We learned about the mining in China. We learned about the forestry in Netherlands. We learned about the fishing in Sri Lanka. So people in Africa know more things. They are conversant with things that are outside Africa compared to the things that are in Africa. Yet in Africa, everything was told. Everything they could teach in culture. They could teach about different kinds of herbs in Africa. They teach you. They tell you this kind of tree can treat this. You grow up knowing the use of that tree. But today, this is the education system that is teaching how to do forestry. It is the education system that is teaching how to do deforestation in African countries. That's why very many African nature trees, they're fading away from forests, because the education system is not targeting that. Another great comment from Lando here says that European university system are there only to train your thinking to serve the interests of the oppressor. Again, of the oppressor. Yeah. So I was surprised, Lando. Like in Uganda, I was looking for the relationship between the Oxford University and the universities in Uganda, because they were posting everywhere. They were like the media houses were talking about this issue, that, and they were talking about this. The Oxford University said that these courses have expired. Then I was like, people are doing this course even this year. That Where is the relationship between Oxford University and Africa? Oxford University is outside Africa. We also have to face we have to carry our own crosses. Why is it that we see Oxford University dictating still education in Africa? Oxford is not in Africa. Oxford is not for Africans, it is for Bazungu. So Jiba says in the US vocational training has been removed from most schools. Uchitegera mwana. In the US, vocational technical training has been removed from most schools. It is the same
Oh,
thing in Africa, but they are trying to forge out a new thing in this new curriculum that we have in Uganda today.
mm,
Why it is a sign of waking up, I
mm.
don't know why. But we see
Mwanange mpewo eri ebweru ekyo.
kyambadde eri endala etakunyirira
Gwe kunyirira.
ona kyambala yeddugala wagyambadde olwaliro eri gye nagiddemu
Kyakirabye.
ey'obutolobojjo. So,
Kyagiddugaza sinanaaba.
so Jabba says that in the US, vocational technical training has been removed from most schools. I grew up seeing vocational schools in Africa. Even in Uganda, I used to see. You see, the school was that they used to have that vocational thing,
Mm.
but most schools they're also scrapping out of these African schools.
Mm.
Yakulaga Somero, where my brother had secondary high school,
Mm.
they used to do that vocational technical training,
Mm.
but it is no longer there. Even the school says it's called the Exodus Vocational Training School, but they are now basing on this curriculum. They are not basing abana bakubanga matafari. They teach you how to build. In fact, a brother wange yatandikira things of electrical
Mm.
engineering and stuff.
Mm.
Some of your guys are wamugulirako ne ku byuma ng'ali mu senior. We bought everything.
Yeah.
Hammer, we bought
No.
magalo, everything. Ngabisaba. Ngabisaba. So Lando's question: does each envy so
Does each Envy League school present a specific ruling family? No, not really. But we have some. Tubuuza oba amasomero ge tulina mu baamu nga bw'osanga mbu you answered my question with the last statement. Oh, okay. I guess it said you answered the question. The skills you acquire from a university only serves the interests of the system of white supremacy. That training could never develop any business separate from system of white supremacy. Kituufu nnyo. Kituufu nnyo. Kituufu nnyo. Yeah. You said that you answered the question with the last statement.
So, now they served the interests of the elite based on the media curriculum.
Okay, he's replying to Jibijab. There's a devils around.
Tugenda kumaliriza endakiika biri mu ttaamu ze zisigadde.
I do agree with Delando when he says that the education system that you are learning cannot sue it. You see, like I was saying, when you're in school, I was saying I know apparently every dressing code of the European because I was taught that. I was telling this to INNOSSETU here before you guys came in. I know how to tie a tie. I can tie a tie in every way. I can tie all types of ties. I know how to put on which one where the ball should face and where it shouldn't and stuff like that because we were taught this in school. But it's very disappointing that even though I know how to dress up traditionally, because traditional wears have a lot of things that accompany them, I still find myself in a position that I cannot dress up perfectly unless my mom finalizes those touches Usually she does that, but when it comes to the European style, I know because I was told throughout, how to tie a tie, how you're going to put on, how you even I can tell, so all these things that we were taught in school, we are not taught the real us. We are not taught the most important things. You understand? So straight up from the first time you enter school, they teach you to adapt to the Western system, to the Western style, to the Western culture, no matter the school. All right.
They normally tell you that from Monday to Friday, it is that is a working day.
It's a working day.
Then Saturday, Sunday, you have to do praise and worship.
Yeah.
So in this education system, it is not giving
There is
Africans
no time for
gardening, for culture. Yeah, the things that we grew up knowing that help us as Africans. So Jib Jabba says that most men in the US cannot tie a necktie. This is crazy. This is crazy. Now most men in the US can't tie a necktie.
Really?
Jib Jabba.
Really? Ha ha ha.
Jib Jabba, this is crazy.
When I can tie a tie, because well, we are told.
Oh,
we are
know
told
how to polish their shoes.
we are told this in when we are tying ties, American style of ties, of tying a tie.
French.
We have the French style. We have the
Scottish.
Italian.
Yeah.
I feel the Italian style is the best for me. I
You're influenced me.
no, it looks good, all right. Even the Italian suits, their tie, the way they tie their tie looks good. But I see the one of America is not so different. So maybe
Scottish.
they adapted that
I was Scottish.
that style. Scottish, wow. But yeah, so we learn all the things in school. Okay, not all schools teaches this in Africa, but where I started from, they taught that was basic. It was very important for us to learn how to do that shit. But we did not learn how. And by the way, when people,
European trainings removes US from our African centerness. It removes us, from our African centerness. It is impossible to do for ourselves because the European training limits us as Africans.
yeah, true. So, so when you look at all these things, it is okay for you to teach me how to tie the neckties. It is okay for you to teach me how to tie all these type of neckties. But it is very right for you to teach me how to do my own traditional wear, so that I can tie that chitengi, that chikohi, and I put that omweko on that gomas. How do you call it?
Chikoi.
Ogomweko gobesiba mchiwatole but
Hey, it is the Chikoi.
the one that comes and
Hey, it is the Chikoi.
a chikohi goes inside. How do you call it? The one that is inside? Is it not a chikohi?
The Chikoi is that what? I thought that is the Chikoi.
Ekikoyi kyekina kibeera munda kiba ng'ekisuuka ne bakyambala ng'ogusikaati ne basuulako gomesi okitegeera neekubeerako ekisipi.
Yeah, it is the one. Are you seeing this?
Hey, that one is chikoyi.
Yeah.
Hey, you understand? Hey, that one is chikoyi. Kiki kibeera munda kati ogwo omusipi ogwo.
What is it called? Those are the problems of the education system. I don't know what it's called.
Omweko.
But I always see my mom puts it on.
After you have to kwetebuka. When you're taking
When you're dancing.
no, when you're taking you're supposed to n'olyoka weerega tebita anti because osobola okuleetawo bw'otambula. Do you have I know all those stages anti wakipima no osobola what is the between that anti baba tebakikoze kino kyembagambye osigera but when you bw'okitabo oti you can kati gwe nkola bwe nti sobola kudduka you can kati bo tebakikola ekyo kye balina okukola. That's why baba batambula nga
that's why you may be very good in making ties, you may be very good in everything that is Western light. But when it comes to your local dressing, when you're poor,
yeah, that's why I say that it is a shame I can do all those things, but I know how to put on my local attires. Not only even my local attires, even your attires. I know the ladies stuff. I know how to do it, but I don't do it perfectly the way I don't do it perfectly the way I do the Western attires. So even if I dress myself in the local attire, usually my mom has those final touches. And when it comes to the Western, I'm the one giving the final touches to my brothers. So that means the education, the time I spent in school molded me in that Western system. And I spent a little time doing the cultural wear because, of course, when you're in school, all the time, those are what we come across with ties and stuff like that. It's very crazy if Jabba says that people don't know how to brush their shoes, to polish their shoes. I used to polish my benga too. I used to polish my mom's shoe. And by the way, all the time nga mama wange bamulabaku. When my mom shoes nga bazimiridde ku parade eya mama ebe yakawe. Benga tonewera mu face yo ali tujja simba osete. So this is it. You go to school and every time there is what they call their parade. You do that parade, so they have to check. You have to make sure you polish your shoe, and it shines like that. It reflects the sun, and all that is nyege nyege.
But we see that the education system just promotes this foreign education system just promotes perfectionism and competitiveness among students, actually increasing the pressure to succeed academically and social and affecting the students' mental health and well-being in education system or the curriculum that we have in Africa.
Now look at the one at school. Do you see this dude of yours? Yeah, man, your guy is always stressed. The guys are grown up. Sometimes I'm like, doesn't this guy have like what to do? All the time he's stressed when we are from the paper last time. So I'm telling him the answers were not that. It was about even to turn around and punch me. But I was saying that truly. So he inspired with that question. Yeah. He doesn't know how to. Yeah. So the guy spends apparently most of his time. He's a grown-up guy with a family, but he spends most of his time reading, preparing himself for exams. Now, for us, we hardly have time. So when we go to school, last time we had.
It was like when we told about that stuff. He Googled.
Yeah, he Googled.
You might be true. You might be true, but I will lose those values.
And I was trying to avoid myself from talking because from the start I knew the answers he was mentioning they are wrong. So we were in his car, so you cannot think of your someone's car. The guy was riding us from school. We are from the exam.
The guy Googled immediately.
Then he said to me, baby,
you might be true.
I don't know. This guy is always overstressed. I'm always like asking myself, why
China
is he like
timing.
that?
China timing.
He's always really, he always moves with big pamphlets. And I'm like, where are you going to read all that? Where did you get that time? And then, because for him, he moves with those big pamphlets. His mind tells him he's supposed to lead. He's supposed he's supposed to lead the class. And so when you challenge him, like, what to correct you, he gets furious. Like, how did I
And
fail this?
I've seen, like, was it in 2017? I saw a kid doing suicide after getting, what was it, a second grade? So that is education.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah,
education.
I saw mom. I know, not 17.
Was a
17 will
woman.
go against the one.
2020
Against
was a
Wala.
girl.
You
Why
recent
she
17 is very
yeah,
far.
why she got to like second grade and
Yeah,
did
17 is
did
very
do
far.
suicide? That
She
is
she she
education.
hoped to have passed in first grade. I think she wanted, and she was very sure. But when the results came, she had failed. I don't know. I think she was
She
competing.
yateka mu
I,
nyonga
that guy can do it. That guy
yeah.
is very stressed with the, and I mean that's why I don't like talking to him when he's discussions, because when you tell him the right thing, for him his mind tells him he's supposed to be correct, and he's always wrong most of the time. But
So
so I guess it's so it
so
is
that
true.
stress
Mm,
omwana nayeta
mm. Imagine that younger, she was 12. I
yeah.
remember. I remember that it was 17 is very far. I think it was 2021. 21 or
20,
22.
22,
Yeah,
22,
22 last
22,
year.
yeah, 22,
Yeah, she killed. Yeah, 22. True.
22, yeah.
She killed herself because you see. So this kind of education, and it's
It is based on it is based on
there to comment.
on promoting perfectionism and competitiveness among students. So
Mm.
if the other party competes and wins, because of course when you
You
compete,
see, like when
you
we are
expect a winner, a loser.
of
So
course, so we are always competing, and you African education system is very weird. You see, like when we are going to graduate, they are going to read the names of those ones who got first class. So everyone is striving to make sure that their names appear. They should read your name. INNOSSETU. If they don't read your name, everybody will be like, "Ugh." Even if you get your certificate, people are going to be like, "Ugh." So you have to make so you have to make sure that your name is read in the first class, because they only read the first class. Man. So hey. So you can see the pressure. You can see the pressure. If you don't get first class, it's like you have not graduated. There is that fear when they read and you have to go and pick your shoot.
So 53, Lando says, 53 countries on the continent, and no one has an African infrastructure. How can we call
Ourselves Africans.
uh,
Africa should represent a nation of history and cultural
culture?
dominance.
We have education. I don't know whether my supplement is going to be correct on this, but we have a lot of students, a lot of people that have started engineering, civil engineering, even other forms of engineering in Africa. But you can never see an African leading or getting a contract to construct a road in Africa.
Mm,
Apart from these people that lob money,
mm,
but
mm.
you can never see.
The majority are foreigners who are doing this, and in response to the kind of housing that we are, the styles of housing that we have. First of all, we had the most permanent housing style. We see this through history. We still have the universities that were in Mali. We still have them at least at a small, even if they are still visible, you can see that something was here. Go back to Egypt and see how strong those walls are. They are very
Pyramids.
visible. Everybody can see, and they have lived for decades. And somebody comes in and says that Africa's houses are temporary, and we are introducing permanent fucking houses.
Mm,
And of course, given the fact that at the back of our mind we know that our houses are temporary, nobody wants to build temporary houses. We don't have money to keep investing in houses. So what do? We go and of course adapt the new. We have Italian constructions. Have you
mm,
seen those Italian houses?
mm,
We have the Italian flats ones, Wadi Camocha. We have the Italian flats, those houses. Most barracks are built in Italian styles. So, and then to Inaweno style, now they are introducing the Arab style. We are seeing those houses. I don't know what those guys like ababigira bweru nga bakola mu constructions, but they have started. So we are yes, sir. No, Habu.
mm. So Mark Olo is on Facebook. Thank you for liking
Mark Olo.
our show. Mark Olo, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you
Mark
so much.
Olo.
So 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 the pressure the people have, actually the students have to succeed academically. Yet even after passing, you're going to get that pressure and you're looking for a job because no one is going to give you a job. People don't give. And by the way, the reality about this education system people have not realized is that after it's all about knowing a foreign language and getting a theoretical skill,
Mm,
which does not even apply to Africa.
mm,
Okitegeera,
mm,
you have no money that is going to take you to Europe to find your friends that to find people that have learned such things. Even the government officials and the presidents, I normally see like member of parliaments, what and what representatives of the government going out to workshops outside Africa. These are people that bring foreign policies to Africa. Okitegeera, zitatuyamba.
mm.
When they come here nga batandika kulobinga.
True to your comment, Maria, but most Africans don't claim that history.
Mhm.
North Africa claims Arabism and all others claim Christianity and Islam. The oppressor history and culture. Yes,
Yo.
no, yes,
Mm.
Lando, I do agree with you. Uh, when they were constructing churches, there are some materials we baleeta okwo mategula go tegamba ku bakatulika
Mhm.
amategula.
Mhm. Mhm.
Hmm?
Yeah, Guava.
Eh,
Well, you don't see very many. I've never even seen
nebula
mosque
obwo
with them.
brick obwo obwa white obwo
Yeah,
obwa red obwo obutafaali bwe
yeah,
batuzimba ku makyaki.
and most of those companies for those bricks, they are religious based.
They bring the material the machines that make them from outside from Italy.
Mm.
Never Italy bazimba bwe batyo. Mm. So and they start doing that here, and now those ones that make Italian bricks,
Mm.
the machines that make Italian bricks, for instance, in Uganda, are machines that are owned by churches. So
Mm.
the churches bring the machines and they start making Italian bricks and they start building. So if you want a house made with Italian bricks as a raw material or a material to construct, the money still goes back to church and stuff.
Mm. Education system, oh, Africa oba tulyetereza ddi, because this thing is affecting almost all African countries. However much we talk about bazungus, we talk about what, but these people are still having us in hand. It is the same thing I was talking about the other time, that fine, we got independence, but we got political independence. Which again, these people are still having us in hand. We can still, if we if we still, even at the Independence Day, these people raised the flag and sang the Uganda national anthem in English. It wasn't making sense. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Mm.
Together. Different people may be having different views, but doesn't these people are still having us socially.
True.
They knew that by then, by the 1950s, Africans had woken up to know about their independence. Africans knew what they wanted, knew that, realized, woke up and saw that we are having different leadership, which took in 50s, 1950s. But Africans forgot this. We neglected the social part and economic part of this.
If you don't trees and the capacity to produce your own product, then the continent is underdeveloped and backward. True, true. And how on we are not taught how
Mm,
the system, the education system does not teach us how to create things on our own. It teaches us a market of bargaining. It teaches us how to bargain over things. It teaches us
negotiate.
how to negotiate. It teaches us, now this is what it teaches. It teaches us how to log, how to get stuff from somewhere else. It does not teach us how to innovate, to create things on our own. And the education system does not teach us how to run factories and companies. It teaches us rather to work for somebody else. It does not teach us to employ ourselves. Though later you hear that they are trying to teach young youths how to, employ yourselves and stuff like that. They'll tell you again that chicken, yeah, GMO coming from pharmaceuticals with their food. So at the end of it all, we still end up being employees. Wakati, if I told they're going to teach you how to rear poultry, the GMO poultry, and they're still giving you conditions, that means you are employed by by the pharmaceuticals. You are employed by the people who are making this GMO chicken. Never know that it is so. So there is a lot of matrix within the African education system. Tugenda basi dakika bbiri tezikumala okuba wuntu buli.
Tezimala, tusooke tumalirize. Tusooke tumalirize. Tusooke tujogereyemu kagende mu line.
So I do agree with the Lando. We has to do that because that's teach. Comment of you as well. You
And
say
no to teach you to be a manufacturer. You have to be a job seeker, not a manufacturer.
Yeah.
You don't have to be an employer or someone who is going to start up something, but you have to be a job seeker. There is no way. Actually, the education system does not put out things to be like you're going to be a manufacturer of this. You're going to do this, but you have to look for a job, to work for someone, to have to be a slave of someone. I'm sorry to say this.
True.
You have to be working for someone.
And even living along the education system. When we are done with that and we say we should maneuver through INNOSSETU, now you see we have identified that the education has failed us. How about we start considering the government comes in and puts the huge sanctions of stuff, license, shit becomes, the policies become so hard on the citizens compared to the foreigners. It doesn't really make sense. Because how can you come as an investor and you start competing with something I can afford as a citizen? You start selling plates with me on the streets and you're an investor. And then you start doing shit that I can do, and you're calling yourself an investor. And for you, you're given much freedom than
So you do not have an education system. What you have on the continent is resource and uneducated people with limited training, which defined as free. Yeah. Olaba Lando. Yeah, kasipenzile mulando. Olaba Lando. Sorry.
Lando does not know the language.
Lando, like Lando, I was saying that what we have is like you're just taught things theoretically. You can't do something skill free. You can't do it. Things are taught theoretically. Whatever, even these people that graduate, get masters, these people have theories. They get skills on the job. If at all he gets a chance in the case, listen to Lando, that he knows the language.
gyebaliko naye oli awo katulinde komenti yala tutanda okukayo mwana.
You got it. Yeah. Got it.
Lando, what did I just say? You comment and tell me what I said just now. Tukibanga kirando kino yoliga yasooka okubeerawo ne fulaga ya Uganda.
Olaba buzibu bwabona galawo
alekala be careful with your comments. Wow. Lando, you're not going to do that to me right now. I say no. I refuse. I refuse. Cynthia, you are comment. I'm going back forth. I'm very confused. I say it. Okay, yes, I do, Maria. All right. Okay. Let me first go back a little bit before I look. Before we end this show, I told Innocent was replying to your comment in a native language. So I was like, "Are you forgetting? Lando doesn't understand the language." So you said, "Yes, I do, Maria. I know that language." So, but Lando, don't try. Come back here. So I also said, I want you to listen. I want you to listen and you tell me what I'm saying. Lando, nnyo tukwagala nnyo Lando. Ate namwe.
He said we were commenting. He said it.
Okay. Katomonde. Tukwagala nnyo. Comment and tell me what I Naniza comment yala ndo ending asoko they wali agenda commenting hapo.
Kwendera okuwa outro.
So I'm waiting.
I did.
Lando, stop. Lando, just reply. What did you say? I want to end that show now. I'm waiting for your reply. I'm waiting for your reply to tell me what I just said. What I just said. I'm waiting. I did hear you, Marion, your first. Don't mind about my comment. To reply. I'm waiting for your reply. Waliwo omuntu nga twakajja wabula fulaga Uganda naye nalinga neebuuza
Ali mu system ali kugenga
yekwemupa Lando. I'm about to log out. I'm just waiting in 1, 2, 3. Pizza. I'm going to end that show. I don't want to end that show and you've dropped your comments. Ngambo munyango. Munyango.
Yeah, Mulamba.
Aisha tekiba na budde. Kiba busy. All right, I guess Lando, you cannot reply to that. I have to end here. Thank you so much, guys, for supporting Black Hot. First segment we were with some brothers, but of course,
Was Royal Constrictor.
Constructor. The previous day in the morning we had Lady two taking us through all the 2 hours the first segment. I think there were 3 hours or 4 hours the first segment. So yeah, in the morning we had a Royal Constructor coming through. I think it's not someone usual on Black Hole Financial, but I think he came across our live. And yeah, thank you so much for this. The second segment of today, of course, we had Lando in the house, we had General Masquero, we had GB Jabba, Unforgettable, we had Keith just came in the comment section, of course. We had Keith, Lando, General Mosquero, GB Jabba. Thank you guys for always loving and supporting. And of course, for those who are always just know that we know you're there watching. Thank you so much for loving and supporting and AF. And it has been me, Africa Maria from Kampala, Uganda, with my colleague
INNOSSETU.
And to go to Nasema kwa Harry. See you tomorrow.
Do